Hey everyone, it's Deer here, and I have a new video. I was hoping to have this video out like a week or 2 weeks ago, but then computer issues happened and I couldn't really record new game footage or audio for that matter. Luckily though, that was around the time that I was planning on getting a new computer anyways, so my new one is finally here and I can finally do some video and audio editing. I've been slowly working on this video over the past couple of months, so I really hope you enjoy it. And without further ado, let's get into the video. I'm gonna tell you a little story about an indie developer and a game that never made it quite past Kickstarter. In 2018, a writer known for her work on Cards Against Humanity published a Kickstarter for a somewhat controversial dating sim. While her intentions were coming from a good place, the execution of the game, didn't really sit well with most people who came across it. Her intention was to create a satirical dating sim to illustrate how all Muslims are not represented by a terrorist organization, and how this perception is extremely limited and, quite frankly, harmful. But that message gets a little lost when the dating sim is one where you play as an American CIA agent trying to get said members of real-life terrorist organization into your bed. Yeah, most people did not respond well to that. People also didn't respond well when the main creator claimed that part of her intention in making this game was to contribute a grounded, accurate, female perspective to this genre, dating sims typically dominated by the male gaze. I can half see where she's coming from. In the West, we have a severe lack of adult dating sims targeted at a female audience. There are some here and there, but even the majority of the ones we do have are primarily comedic. There are about 3 to 4 localized adult Otome games out there, at least at the time of recording this, and none of them really take the subject matter all that seriously. They're meant to be fun VNs you play for a short time to get your rocks off, and that's about it. This isn't to claim that they're bad visual novels, definitely not, but there is a stark difference in quantity when you compare the selection on a website like Manga Gamer of adult VNs targeted at men to the ones targeted at women. Even then, the ones for a male audience have a huge variety in content and subject matter, but the ones in English for women tend to feel a little safe and samey. And it's fairly understandable as to why. Otome games, dating sims targeted at a female audience, have only started to gain more prevalence in the West over the past few years, and it takes a while to translate a game from Japanese to develop one independently and so on. So that all goes on to show that the developer was half right in her statement, claiming that this was a field dominated by men. Something raised a few eyebrows, however. She posted the Kickstarter to the game on 3 subreddits: r/videogames, r/visual novels, and r/Kickstarter. In her original game description, she claimed that she loved both dating sims and visual novels, but as people on Reddit started to point out, she clearly forgot about one small community that would likely be the most accepting of her goals with this game: r/Otome games. It's interesting that not once did she mention Otome games or the phrase Otome in her Kickstarter page. Otome games, the genre that her dating sim targeted at a female audience would 100% fall under, and the community that is starved for more adult content. This led to people questioning the actual visual novel passion behind the project. Folks in r/visual novels may not frequently discuss Otome games, but just about everyone knows the genre. It's an important subsection of the visual novel community, and one that I've always kind of frequented for most of the time. When the Kickstarter was finally shared to the Otome subreddit, it was not by the developer, but by a user who just happened to come across the link elsewhere. Needless to say, we had a field day discussing it in the subreddit and being upset by the content and the lack of appreciation for the genre it somehow claimed to kind of pioneer. To many of us, the message the creator claimed the game had came from a good place, but the execution of it seemed to just be a shameless cash grab trying to appeal to the meme visual novel craze with its fairly out there concept, while also being quite distasteful about it. What upset many of us was the trashiness of the game and the apparent shallowness in its sexual content. Here is an example of the dialogue. Now, I'm sure this developer is a lovely person, and she seems to be doing well in her career at the moment, working on games that I think are pretty neat. No hate to her by any means. But I'm gonna say it. I am so sick of some modern VNs trying to become the next weird and quirky game to go viral. Sorry, I had to say something. I am not arguing that every viral VN is trash. Of course not. Some of them went viral for a reason other than weirdness or shock value, although those always help. Some of them have actual substance to them. And the people who work on all of these VNs, primarily indie ones, are talented and should be proud to get a game out. They did a good job. But plenty of these well-known quirky visual novels seem to be made by creators who don't really respect or like the genre all that much, and just kind of want to get a game to be weird enough to gain some popularity, because that's what visual novels are, right? Easy ways to gain fame because they're just so wacky and silly. I can't speak for everyone, of course, and not all viral VNs come across this way, but it's just something one notices over time. To be fair, meme visual novels are all over the place. You have the ones that are a bit of a meme in the community because of their content, such as Euphoria, Amnesia, Tsubahibie, and so on. You have somewhat standard visual novels that become a meme outside of the community, like Dramatical Murder, Nekopara, or Danganronpa, and then you have the ones that were partially made for meme value and thus received it. Dream Daddy, Hodiful Boyfriend, I Love You Colonel Sanders, and Pizza Game, among others. They vary in quality. Out of those four just listed, however, which ones actually have staying power? Is it I Love You Colonel Sanders, the game made to help sell a corporation's product but with zero substance? Is it Pizza Game, the dating sim that in its trailer so aggressively despises and is disgusted by the genre it wants to be a part of? Or is it one of the games that, despite having meme content, has heart to it? Again, this is primarily based on my own perspective, but I'm not the only one who feels this way about these games. So many gamers and developers alike don't take the visual novel genre seriously, and sure, some titles are pretty silly and have content that is understandably made fun of, but what I often notice is a deeper desire to shame narrative-based games and interactive fiction as a whole. You often hear people claim that the game is just a walking simulator, or you pretty much just watch a movie in that game and make choices here and there, as though that devalues a game. Visual novels just tend to be the easy scapegoat since, oh, they're just those silly anime reading games. VNs get the same critique in that plenty of people disregard them because there's too much reading. Not everyone has to like visual novels. You enjoy the genres you enjoy and vice versa, but because of this increasing abundance in meme visual novels coming to the spotlight, they've become the representation of the genre to the unknowing public. Of course, they also help introduce people to other VNs, but most people kind of see them as the representation of the genre, which is what the problem is. People who don't play many VNs will assume that every visual novel is a trashy dating sim meant to advertise some fried chicken, or that every VN includes countless spelling mistakes while writing about their empty characters. And oh yes, there is plenty of that, and no, it's not bad to like some of it sometimes. Well, maybe not so much the fried chicken advertising part. There are plenty of trashy titles, but doesn't every genre have some trashiness? Why is that what folks tend to assume best represents visual novels then? There's one visual novel I haven't mentioned yet that to me understood the balance between memes and substance. Not everyone will agree with my opinion, but this game personally spoke to me, so I think it's a good example. In 2017, Dan Salvato released a little game called Doki Doki Literature Club. Brief disclaimer, I will be talking about some spoilers for the storyline of the game, so if you aren't familiar with DDLC, it has some heavy subject material, including depression, suicide, general mental health topics. Moving on. I'm not here claiming that DDLC is the greatest piece of art to grace this good earth, but it's a game that was made with a respectable motivation, and it was successful in achieving the goal it set. In a Reddit Ask Me Anything after the game's release, Salvato wrote that he had a few motives for this game, He wanted to help demonstrate the capabilities of interactive fiction, providing some kind of experiences that only a video game could provide. He wanted to disturb people and make them think about life and uncomfortable things, and he just wanted to make a decent story with characters worth caring apart. I'd say Doki Doki did pretty well at all of that. The game draws you in with the promise of jump scares and meme-worthy content from its content warnings and just, the word-of-mouth information, or with cute anime girls if you weren't spoiled at all, but it stays with you when you realize just how real the struggles these characters go through are. They may be a little over-exaggerated in some places, but mental illness is a thing that exists, and this game explores those struggles in a way that I think is done tastefully. I personally really appreciate Sayori's storyline most of all. Some fans of the game were upset that even if you romantically pursue her, she still takes her own life. They felt that the protagonist should be able to save her, and while I wish Sayori had a happy ending, I think that saving her with your love isn't a healthy message and ultimately an unrealistic one. It's important to have people you feel close to. When you're depressed or having any other variation of mental health issues, a support network can do wonders. But at the same time, entering a relationship isn't just going to fix someone. Personal struggles won't immediately disappear, which I feel is a message that most media exploring these serious issues don't discuss. Okay, let's move on a little bit from the extremely heavy stuff. Thought-provoking, enjoyable visual novels don't even necessarily need to take the genre 100% seriously in order to be great or pretty good. Just enjoy the genre and like it a little bit if you want to contribute to it, In an interview, Don Salvato stated that the game was partially designed to appeal to players who enjoy making fun of anime and have never taken visual novels seriously. I wanted to invite them to make fun of the game so that they could later experience the elements I feel VNs are best at, which is connecting the player to the characters in strong and unique ways. With this, he was sort of hoping to give people the false impression that this VN would be like any other viral visual novel, but instead prove to people who aren't really familiar with VNs that maybe there's more to the story and the experience than just making fun of it. There are games like Hatoful Boyfriend where you date birds and laugh at the bird-related humor, but you still feel moved by the end product. Or games like Dream Daddy where you really feel a love for the content from the creators, but you don't date birds. I don't even especially love those two VNs personally, but I respect the heck out of them and their creators because of how they managed to hide surprisingly well-developed stories and characters behind the guise of, oh, haha, play this funny game, it's so funny. But then it's actually really good. And as I've said a few times already by now, I, of course, am not speaking for everyone. Some of these games do have value to other people, but I'm primarily speaking for myself and how I feel about the subject matter and certain titles. To me, visual novels offer worlds to get lost in. Whether I can't stop laughing or crying, or I feel a deep bond with these fictional characters and become invested in their well-being over the course of their story, I think a huge misconception about the visual novel community is that anyone who likes games where you can date characters or sit there reading for a while are incredibly lonely and sort of pathetic. That these people can't hold real friendships and are forced to resort to befriending fictional characters in scripted situations. And I'll admit, when I'm feeling especially sad or lonely, I do open up Nameless, The One Thing You Must Recall, or The House in Fata Morgana to escape into this world of comfort, which is funny because those two visual novels are actually really sad and yet they're my comfort games. But I've also met so many incredible people through visual novels, and with other pals, our friendship was strengthened through our mutual bonding over VNs. Yeah, story-based games aren't for everyone, I understand, but what they offer is something so unique that most other modes of engagement in storytelling can't give you: the chance to directly feel like you're a part of the story you're reading, or the chance to influence the ending of the story. Playing a visual novel is always an intimate experience for me. I metaphorically lock myself in my room, put in my earbuds, this time literally, and bundle myself up in some blankets while I get ready to fully put myself into whatever story I'm reading. Afterwards, however, there's nothing I love more than ranting to my friends about something I found especially exciting that I just read about, or something that was so hilariously weird or tragically beautiful. I love poking fun at some things in visual novels here and there. I totally get why others do it too. It just becomes a little disheartening when people you talk to legitimately make fun of you for your favorite genre not being a real game genre, Or when folks assume that all dating sims are bad just because the only one they've heard of makes fun of the genre, there are so many great visual novels that either started off as memes or became memes over time, but it's important to understand that they can also be so much more than that. Wow, you did it! You made it to the end of the video! Thank you so much for watching, everyone! I am gonna eat a Pop-Tart now because I am freaking hungry and it is 12:48 a.m., so that'll be exciting. Alright, see you in the next one!